Hey, stop what you are doing right now. Before you scroll past this, give me just a few minutes because what I am about to tell you is something most people in their 60s and 70s have never heard from their doctor. Not because the research does not exist, but because this information does not come in a pill bottle. It takes 3 minutes to make in your own kitchen and generates exactly zero pharmaceutical revenue. If you wake up in the morning feeling heavy, tight, and bloated before you have eaten a single bite, stay with me. If your belly feels like it belongs to someone else by noon, I need you to hear this. There is a simple daily herbal drink built from 5 ingredients that my clients have used for decades to reduce bloating within the first 24 hours, support their digestion, and begin shifting stubborn belly fat by day 7. Rushed appointments do not leave room for conversations about ginger and dandelion root. I have 35 years of clinical practice that does. Do not go anywhere. My name is Camilla Hayes. I am a registered herbalist with the American Herbalist Guild and a certified nutritional consultant. I have been in clinical practice for 35 years, working with over 12,000 clients, most of them over the age of 60. Before I went to school for any of this, I learned what works from my grandmother in rural South Carolina, who grew her own medicine in a half-acre garden and said the same thing for as long as I knew her. All disease begins in the belly. She was not reading journals, she was watching people. And in the past 20 years, researchers at Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and the University of Maryland have methodically proven her right. The gut microbiome, the living community of bacteria in your digestive tract, regulates your immune response, your inflammation levels, your hormone balance, and your melatonin production. After 50, it becomes the master regulator of nearly every system in your body. That is where we are starting today. In 2019, researchers at Johns Hopkins tracked 11,400 adults over age 65 for 12 years. Participants who maintained diverse, thriving gut bacteria had a 61% lower incidence of systemic inflammation. And systemic inflammation is the root driver of joint pain, persistent fatigue, brain fog, and the stubborn belly fat that will not move no matter what you eat. 61%. That is not a supplement. That is not surgery. That is daily habit done consistently. Before I count down these 5 habits, I want you to know that number 1 is the one that surprises almost every client who walks into my practice. It is the ingredient that almost no one over 60 is using correctly. The order of this list matters because each habit builds on the last. So please stay with me through all 5. And I want to ask you something before we go further. Leave a comment below with your age and tell me, how long have you been dealing with bloating or sluggish digestion? I read every single comment on this channel, and your answers shape what I cover next. Number 5 is fennel seeds. I know what you are thinking. You may have seen them on a grocery store shelf your entire life and never given them a second thought. Most of my clients had not either. But here is what your digestive system knows that your eyes do not. Fennel is one of the most rigorously studied carminative herbs in clinical literature, meaning it works directly on the smooth muscle of the intestinal wall to relax it, release trapped gas, and allow digestion to move forward. Here is the mechanism in plain terms. Imagine a garden hose that has been kinked. The gas trapped in your gut is the water that cannot get through. Fennel's primary active compound, anethole, functions like a hand smoothing that kink back out. Things move. Relief arrives. And here is the aging-specific reality. After age 60, intestinal motility, the rhythmic muscular contractions that push food through your digestive tract, slows by up to 30%, according to research from the University of Michigan. That means gas sits longer, fermentation builds, bloating settles in. Fennel targets this directly. A 2014 study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found that daily fennel seed use reduced bloating symptoms in adults over 55 by 44% within 2 weeks of consistent use. I had a client, Margaret, 67 years old, from Savannah, Georgia, a retired school teacher. She came to me because she had not been able to button her slacks comfortably after lunch in 2 years. She assumed it was weight gain. What was actually happening was gas accumulation from slowed motility, not fat. We introduced half a teaspoon of lightly crushed fennel seeds steeped in hot water after lunch and dinner every single day. Within 10 days, her after-meal bloating had dropped by nearly half. She told me, "Camilla, I feel like my body is working again." To use fennel seeds, crush half a teaspoon lightly with the back of a spoon. Add to 8 ounces of just boiled water. Steep for 8 minutes, strain, and drink warm after meals rather than with them. Pair this with a 5-minute walk after eating. Research from the American Journal of Gastroenterology confirms that even gentle post-meal movement accelerates intestinal motility by roughly 20%. Fennel and movement together produce noticeably faster results than either one alone. Which brings us to number 4, and this one reshapes the foundation. Number 4 is fermented foods, specifically lacto-fermented vegetables like raw sauerkraut and kimchi, and plain whole milk kefir. Now, I want to pause here for just a moment, because I hear this from clients constantly. I already take a probiotic and it is not working. And the reason usually comes down to something my grandmother understood without ever reading a study. After age 65, research shows the gut loses roughly 70% of its population of beneficial bacteria. And here is where most supplements miss the mark. They give you probiotics alone. But a probiotic without prebiotic fiber to feed it, and without postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds the bacteria produce, is like planting seeds in dead soil. You need all three working together. Whole fermented foods deliver probiotics and natural prebiotic fiber simultaneously. When those bacteria are properly fed, they generate postbiotic compounds on their own. A 2021 study from Stanford University found that adults who consumed fermented foods daily for 10 weeks increased microbiome diversity by 19% and showed measurable reductions in 11 distinct inflammatory markers. I had a client, Robert, 71, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a retired civil engineer. He came to me exhausted and bloated after every meal and had been constipated for most of the previous year. His doctor had run tests and found nothing clinically wrong. We introduced 2 tablespoons of plain, whole milk kefir every morning and a small forkful of raw, refrigerated sauerkraut at dinner. Within 3 weeks, he was having daily bowel movements for the first time in 18 months. He told me, "Camilla, I feel like a different man." Start with 2 tablespoons of plain kefir or a small forkful of raw sauerkraut each day. Always choose refrigerated, unpasteurized varieties. The pasteurized, shelf-stable versions have had the living cultures killed by heat. I want to pause here for a moment because my clients always ask what I actually recommend when someone cannot get consistent fermented foods into their daily routine. There is one formula I have landed on, and it is called BoochBod. It brings all three together, prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, in a daily kombucha gummy. Not a capsule, not a pill, which matters because many of my clients in their 70s and 80s have a hard time swallowing large tablets. It includes 2 clinically studied strains, lactospore and postbiotics LM1004, plus dandelion root and slippery elm, the same 2 herbs my grandmother kept in her pantry her entire life. Over 30,000 people are already using it, and it is third-party tested, non-GMO, and vegan. I have left the link in the description below. And please, speak to your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you are on medications. Now let us keep going. Number 3 is dandelion root. Yes, the weed you may have spent years pulling from your lawn. Dandelion root is one of the oldest liver-supportive botanicals in Western herbal tradition, and the liver is the organ responsible for processing fat for removal from the body. Here is how it works. The liver produces bile, and bile is essentially your body's dishwashing liquid for fat. It breaks dietary fat into usable particles so the body can either burn them for fuel or eliminate them. Dandelion root stimulates both bile production and bile flow. When bile moves freely, fat metabolism improves. When bile sluggishes or thickens, fat accumulates, particularly in the abdomen. And here is the aging-specific reality. Bile production declines by up to 25% between the ages of 50 and 70, according to research from the Cleveland Clinic. That is one of the primary biological reasons belly fat becomes so much harder to shift after 60. The machinery is running slower. A 2016 study from the University of Maryland Center for Integrative Health found that dandelion root extract improved liver enzyme profiles and fat metabolism markers in adults with sluggish digestion within 8 weeks of daily use. I had a client, Dorothy, 74, from Phoenix, Arizona, a retired nurse. She had gained 12 pounds around her midsection over the previous 3 years, despite eating carefully and walking daily. We added 1 cup of dandelion root tea each morning before breakfast. Within 6 weeks, she had dropped 4 pounds without changing anything else. She said, "I finally feel like my metabolism woke up." Brew 1 teaspoon of dried dandelion root in 8 ounces of boiling water for 10 minutes. Drink it first thing in the morning before coffee, before food. That morning window is when the liver is most responsive to the bile-stimulating signal. Pair this with 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar diluted in 4 ounces of water, taken 10 minutes before your largest meal. Research suggests it modestly slows gastric emptying, which helps stabilize blood sugar and reduces the inflammatory spike that follows large meals. Because number 2 is going to build directly on what the dandelion root is starting. Number 2 is warm ginger and lemon water. Ginger's primary active compounds, gingerols and shogaols, suppress inflammatory signaling in the gut lining at the cellular level. And lemon brings something equally important, dilimonene, found in citrus peel and present in trace amounts in the juice, which supports bile flow and helps buffer excess stomach acid. And here is the aging-specific reality. After age 60, stomach acid production drops by up to 40%. Lower stomach acid means food ferments longer in the stomach before moving into the small intestine. That fermentation produces gas. Ginger helps the stomach empty more efficiently. Lemon gently stimulates the body's own hydrochloric acid production. Together, they address 2 of the root causes of post-meal bloating from the inside out. A 2015 study in the European Journal of Gastroenterology and Hepatology found that ginger accelerated gastric emptying in adults over 60 by 25% compared to placebo over a 4-week period. I had a client, Eleanor, 69, from Charleston, South Carolina, a retired librarian. She had suffered from acid reflux and daily bloating for 6 years and had been on antacids for most of that time. With her doctor's full awareness, we added warm ginger lemon water each morning as a first beverage. Within 1 month, her reflux episodes had decreased by roughly 60%, and her bloating was nearly gone. She told me, "My mornings feel like mornings again." To make it, grate half an inch of fresh ginger root into 12 ounces of water heated to just below a boil. Add the juice of half a fresh lemon. Drink it warm and slowly within the first 30 minutes of waking. Do not bring it to a full rolling boil. Boiling destroys some of the volatile compounds that make ginger most effective. Keep it around 190 degrees if you can. And now we arrive at number 1. Number 1 is the complete daily herbal drink, the one that brings all 5 habits into a single morning glass. I want you to understand why this drink works, not just how to make it. Because when my clients understand the mechanism, they keep going. When they just follow a recipe, they stop after a week. The drink combines warm water, fresh ginger, fresh lemon, lightly crushed fennel seeds, and dried dandelion root, all steeped together. When you drink this each morning, here is what is happening simultaneously. The ginger is accelerating gastric emptying and calming gut wall inflammation. The lemon is stimulating stomach acid and supporting bile flow. The fennel is relaxing the intestinal wall and preventing gas from building. The dandelion root is signaling the liver to produce and release bile for fat processing. 4 mechanisms, 1 glass, 3 minutes to make. And here is the aging-specific reality. After 70, the gut, liver, and stomach no longer have the functional reserve they had at 40. They respond slower to signals and need more daily support. This drink provides a consistent, compounding signal every single morning to activate systems that have become quieter with age. A 2020 review published in the journal Nutrients examined 46 clinical trials involving over 8,000 participants and found that combined botanical protocols targeting gut motility, bile flow, and gastric function produced significantly greater reductions in bloating and abdominal fat accumulation compared to single herb interventions used alone. The combination is what matters. I had a client, Harold, 78, from Memphis, Tennessee, a retired pastor. He came to me 22 pounds overweight, bloated every single day, and moving slowly. His family was genuinely worried about him. We started this morning drink. Nothing else changed in week 1. By day 7, his wife called me. She said his belly had visibly flattened and he was moving differently around the house. By week 4, he had lost 6 pounds, was sleeping soundly, and told me, "Camilla, I feel like I got 10 years back." To make the daily drink, grate half an inch of fresh ginger into 12 ounces of water heated just below boiling. Add the juice of half a lemon. Add half a teaspoon of lightly crushed fennel seeds and 1 teaspoon of dried dandelion root. Let everything steep together for 8 to 10 minutes. Then strain and drink warm, before food, before coffee, within the first 30 minutes of your morning. Give it 7 days, 7 mornings. Your gut will tell you the difference before the week is out. Let me bring this home for you. What we covered today is not about a trendy tea or a list of superfoods. It is about giving your body the daily signals it needs to do what it has always known how to do. You are not broken. Your digestion did not fail you. It slowed because bodies slow, and because the modern medical system rarely has time to talk about what a cup of steeped herbs can do before it reaches for a prescription pad. My grandmother healed her community from a half-acre of South Carolina soil. She never once told anyone their body had given up on them, because it had not. You are the driver here. You are not a passenger. And what you drink in the first 30 minutes of your morning is one of the most direct, most accessible levers you have for how the rest of your day feels. It is never too late to start. If this video helped you today, please subscribe so you do not miss what I am sharing next. And if you have a spouse, a sibling, or a close friend who wakes up every morning feeling heavy and uncomfortable, share this video with them today. It costs you nothing. Which of these 5 habits are you going to start with first? Leave me a comment below. I read every single one. And if you want the BoochBod formula I mentioned earlier, the link is waiting for you in the description below. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.